and the name of your company.
I'm Stephanie, and I'm with Lost in the Moment Photography.
I'm Brian Henke with Main Street Trolley.
Ellen Cantrell with Green River Plantation.
I'm Kathy Norris with Kathy and Company.
Susan Gordon with Asheville Highway Rental.
I'm Barrett Alexander with Summit Point.
And I'm Fraser Ford with The Party Machine.
And I feel like I'm at a beauty pageant interviewing everyone involved. We'll pass the mic around so it makes it more comfortable for everybody. But we keep running into multiple questions that really encompass wedding professionals across the board, not just in specific areas of expertise. One of the things we encounter all the time is, what one thing would you tell a bride to prevent her a misstep in planning when related to your field? Any thoughts?
Well, with the cakes, you want to make sure you have a clear contract, that everything that you talked about in the meeting and the design that you picked out is also on that contract.
And if you're planning a wedding, be sure that you have other areas. If it's an outside wedding, if the company has a facility, then the wedding could move inside. And another thing, when we're sitting with clients or customers, talk to us. If you don't like something we're saying, tell us. I'd rather have it done this way, because if you talk to us, we're going to do exactly what you want if you tell us what you want. But if you don't, we, of course, can't please you.
From a transportation standpoint, I totally agree with the contract, making sure the details are there. But one thing that happens in the transportation area is that a lot of our vehicles, they're larger, they might not go as fast. So at times, make sure that you don't budget the time to transport people from A to B as you would with your car. Because a lot of these vehicles are slower, and you don't want everybody getting whipped around and things of that sort. So timing of our vehicles, make sure that you discuss it with the professionals, because like I said, our vehicles can go slower and things of that sort. And also, the amount of people that you're trying to transport, that can also take considerable time, and we know how long it takes to get from A to B. So scheduling that, because if it gets out of schedule, it's just going to be rough on the whole party. So having enough time and listening to the professionals' recommendations is important.
When it comes to your photography, contract again is important. Also, what's important is, don't assume that your wedding date will always be open with a particular photographer that you like. Don't wait until the last minute to book them or talk with them, because normal photographers, if they're a really good photographer, they will book out far enough in advance. So go ahead and book your date. That way you're not missing a step on planning.
Also, be sure to do your homework. This wedding show is a good example. These are all reputable businesses up here. All these folks up here are reputable business people who have reputable businesses. I know that you're working on a budget, so price is important, but you shouldn't be swayed by just price alone. When you're planning, you want to make sure that you're using somebody who's reputable, professional, somebody who's going to show up. That doesn't sound like a big deal until they don't. So you want to make sure that whoever you're using, you feel good about. Another good resource is the Upstate Bridal Association. I believe they have a booth out here today. That's a merit-based organization where the members who are in there because of their integrity and the level of business commitment they have to the wedding community. So just do your homework. Just because it's a great price and a nice looking website, doesn't mean necessarily that may be the best option for you. So.
In reflection of his comment, I heard one time, everybody starts somewhere. But do you want to be their first wedding? So check references and find out about their history. You can even visit a wedding that they're actually doing for a client at that time. You can go and watch the setup of a cake and see how it's done. You can be incognito as a guest for just a few minutes and see how the DJ works. Things like that. You can attend a venue and see how their setup has been presented. So there's a lot of options in investigating and knowing and trusting the vendors that you're working with. The professionals here are all upstanding people who, as he said, have people of integrity. So don't consider being someone's first wedding. It might be hesitant until they don't show up. Another question we get often is, what options do you provide in the event of a wedding cancellation or a postponement? Things come up. What are the options?
Unfortunately, if you book a photographer, cancellation is not really something that we can do because we've already booked your date and probably have turned brides away. But if you do, however, decide to push your date to a different date and we do have it open, everything will transfer over to that date. So there's no worry about losing your deposit on this particular date as long as we're open.
It's kind of from this industry, losing your deposit, unfortunately, is part of the equation when you cancel. But we've actually had weddings that have paid in full, and unfortunately, the wedding was called off, and we've made arrangements to have our services at a later date for something else. So we will. This industry, is definitely not a black and white. We definitely can work in the gray areas. But unfortunately, from a deposit standpoint, a lot of times that you'll lose a deposit if you cancel.
Yes, you can lose your deposit if you cancel, but we can transfer you to another date if we have open, and you can use that deposit for that particular date. You just have to kind of let us know what you have in mind. Now, if you cancel that wedding like 2 days before, you're definitely not going to get your deposit back.
A lot of it for us does depend on the timing. If you give us enough time, if it's 3 months before, we can't always refund the deposit, but we'll make you another cake or maybe multiple cakes. But we have had a lot of weddings be changed due to the soldier, the groom in Iraq or whatever, and there wasn't anything they could do. And if we were already full that weekend, we still made their cake, even if we had to stay extra to do it and get it delivered. But because we appreciate what those soldiers have done for us. But we try to be as flexible as we can. We know things happen.
And with our company, you would lose half of the deposit, but if it was just a matter of being put off, you would not lose anything, and we would definitely do it any other day out in the future that you would need to with no penalty whatsoever.
For us, at Summit Point, we do like a payment plan. So many days out is 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100% if it's within so many days. But the deposit is non-refundable, and you will lose that if you just straight out cancel.
The best recommendation I would give in general is just to read your contract, and when you sign it, just know what you're agreeing to. What I tell our clients is that we expect you to uphold your end just like you expect us to uphold your end. Meaning that if we were to call you up the day before and say, hey, sorry, we got to cancel, you wouldn't appreciate that. And that's just unprofessional. That shouldn't be done. But just as we have certain agreements that we've committed to you, we just ask our customers to give us that same courtesy. So just make sure before you sign a contract that you're clear as to what you're signing, so that in the event that there is a cancellation or something, you'll have outlined in your paperwork exactly what is expected of you as it is what you expect from your vendor.
And two, this is also a good opportunity. Kathy mentioned the soldier. You may want to look into wedding insurance, and there are different types and different options, but if there's some gray area that you are aware of in your life, one particular bride did not know when her groom was coming home. He was scheduled to come home. They were planning the wedding shortly thereafter, and he was postponed in his return. But wedding insurance covers things like that. I read just recently where, let's say, heaven forbid, your father's in a tragic car accident and everything in your life comes to a halt. Wedding insurance will cover all your deposits, will cover the expectation of payment to wedding professionals. So all of those things are something to consider if you feel you definitely want to be certain and protected. Yes, AAA does carry that, and they are part of the Wedding Festivals team, are they not? Yes, they're vendors. You can find their information on weddingfestivals.com under the vendor listing, and you can certainly research that with them, and they have many different options to offer you. We all talk about this. The economy is bringing us to a point where we're more conscious of wedding budgets. And that's not always to say that our budgets are smaller, but we're more prudent with how we spend our money. What flexibility do you have when working with different brides with different budgets?
Definitely the economy has an impact on everyone, but with us, if you come to me and say, my budget's $3,000, it may not be on the date that you want, but you know, it's become a trend to Friday nights, Sundays. Friday nights are cheaper, of course, than Saturdays. Sundays are cheaper. So if you're able to be flexible, then we're able to be flexible with you.
We're able to work because we're a rental company with more or less any budget from $100 to $500,000. So if you have 50 people in a wedding, or you would like a tent the size of a football field, we can accommodate you.
With the cakes, we have a lot of flexibility there. We can do kitchen cakes in the back. The way we work that, they're the same height as your wedding cake, and unless your guest sees it cut off of that kitchen cake, they will never know the difference. A lot of the brides are opting for smaller cakes out front. Now, true, if you have a venue that has 24-foot ceilings, you do not want a small cake out there. It would not look very good. But if you have a normal height ceiling, you can do a 3-tier cake and do kitchen cakes in the back, and it saves you lots of money that way.
Of course, most weddings depend on the number of people you have as to the cost. And we offer like a wedding package where we furnish a coordinator, and we have music people, and we take care of basically everything. But the biggest cut, of course, is how many guests are you going to accommodate. And a lot of girls think they're on a budget, they want to have 200 people. And you've got to cut down on the people, and most everyone that you invite are not going to come. So when you're planning, you can plan, say, 25% less than you have invited, and cut down on your budget.
From a transportation standpoint, my biggest cost is fuel and labor cost of the driver. So we've actually had people that, you know, said, well, okay, can we work something a little more cost effective? And if it's okay with both wedding parties, we've actually, while we're waiting at one wedding or during a reception or something, we were in that general area and we would accommodate your wedding too. And that was just essentially because we're already there. So transportation costs, fees, and things of that sort that we incur going from or to the location, we can kind of waive that. So that's one way that we can actually reduce your budget if we can actually be in the same area as another wedding is going on, and both wedding parties is okay with that.
When it comes to photography, I like to offer my brides a payment plan, or they can do the traditional half down, half later. With a payment plan, you put 25% down, that books your date, and then we break it out into monthly payments. That way you don't have to pay half down for me, half down for your transportation, half down for cakes. That way it's more of a flexible payment for the bride and the parents to make.
Well, we thank you for joining us, and thank you to all of you. You're certainly top-notch in your area of expertise, and we appreciate your sharing with all of us. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to remember that our grand prize drawing will be at 2:30. You must be present to win, and we're giving away a fabulous pair of diamond earrings, and one of you will be wearing them home today.